From time to time over the years, I've sort of pinched the style of a famous poet. They can't touch you for it, especially when I'm dead. And I'll write a parody on it. The first time I did this, my first victim was Thomas Gray and his elegy in a country church. I'm sure most of you know of that. At the time, I was working as a junior clerk in my local council office. And working next to me was a lad who I'd actually sat next to school with as well. We shared a sense of humour. In fact, we both had written on our school reports from time to time, would do better if he did not allow himself to be disturbed by his neighbour. And we kept on in the same vein at work. We used to write each other little limericks. Mine generally unremarkable, his invariably unrepeatable. And this parody I wrote on the day after I'd just been dumped by my first serious girlfriend. And I called it Strud's Allergy in a Council Backyard. The curfew tells the hell of parting friends. A lonely Bryn thinks seriously of the Lee, as plodding on his homeward way he wends, and of the world but darkness he can see. The reason for this melancholy strain that I've adopted since I saw you last, to your experience, must be rather plain. The event you prophesied has passed. When I returned from holiday, I thought she'd be waiting with a longing wave. But what has happened since has only taught the paths of big heads lead but to the grave. It seems that while I breathed the Devon air, she found another one she thought was nice. So she broke it off, this maiden fair. Now I've lost my one and only vice. But I shan't worry, neither shall I fret. Although I must admit, it does look rather black. I'm confident, in fact I'd even bet, that one day, humble, she'll come crawling back. She didn't, of course. Fast forward to 1984, and I turned my attention to Edward Lear, who's poem The Owl and the Pussycat, has always been voted as one of the country's favourite comic poems. Pretentiously, I felt in the 1980s it ought to be updated a bit, so I did. One or two of you heard this. There's one person there who's actually read it for me, haven't you, dear? Yes. Anyway, this is as Edward Lear might have written it in the 1980s. The Owl and the Pussycat went to sea in a Sea-Link hovercraft. They took some hash, plenty of cash wrapped up in a banker's draft. The owl looked up to Telstar above and played an electric guitar. I'd like to take you to Capri, Pussy Love, but the lead wouldn't reach that far, but the lead wouldn't reach that far. Pussy said to the owl, it's perfectly foul, the discords you play on that thing, but I'd still like to marry. It's your baby I carry. We'd better look out for a ring. They sailed that night to the Isle of Wight, the land where the tourist goes. And there on the quay, a punk they did see with a ring through the end of his nose. Owl said, do you agree to sell for 5p your ring? Said the punk, I will not. So, unable to wed, they cohabit instead with a commune of cows in a squat. They dine on the floor and eat yoghurt galore, which they eat with a white plastic spoon. Then, with a new partner each, they go down to the beach and smoke pot by the light of the moon. And smoke pot by the light of the moon. Having no respect for reputations, I next turned my attention to an ex-poet laureate, Sir John Betjeman, and set out to destroy probably one of my very favourite poems of all time, A Subaltern's Love Song, which I'm sure many of you know begins, Miss J. Hunter Dunn, Miss J. Hunter Dunn, furnished and burnished by Aldershot's son. What strenuous singles we played, you and me. We in the tournament, you against me. Well, back in the 70s, I'd fallen madly in love with the bright-eyed Australian girl who I saw singing with Cliff Richard on his television show. Her name, Olivia Newton-John. So I wrote this. Miss O. Newton-John, Miss O. Newton-John, bright-eyed and bronzed where the warm sun has shone. What beautiful music we two might have made. We in duet so tenderly played. A duet of sweet music, oh, music of bliss. The world never knew such a love song as this. Instead, you betrayed me, denying my joy, and married a man scarcely more than a boy. Down the worst country roads I'd have walked endless miles, if I thought my reward would be one of your smiles. I'd have worshipped the ground you were walking upon, if you'd let me be there, Miss O. Newton-John. You've probably worked out by now, if you know some of our songs, this is so much better. I have dreamt I was Sam, that man on the run, on his own. I wouldn't have left you there long all alone. I'd have run through the door that you left open wide and bolted it tightly once I was inside. Whatever you did, my true love didn't falter, though it hurt when you danced in the arms of Travolta. To me, you were pure, a true paragon of virtue, my bright-eyed Miss Yo Newton-John. I hated the thought of those hot summer nights that you and he sang about, full of delights. These were the things for which I had yearned, on my summer nights when I tossed and I turned. You sang, let's get physical once on a disc, which seemed to me an incredible risk. Unscrupulous men might have got it all wrong, but I knew you referred to keep fit in the song. I watched all your concerts on stage and TV. You smiled through the camera, directly at me. You in the studio, me in my chair. Why wouldn't the Lord above answer my prayer? I honestly love you, Miss O. Newton-John. I still can't believe all my chances are gone. If we had been born in the same place and time, I might have been yours, and you might have been mine. But all I have left are your pictures and songs. My world is not where your affection belongs. Although it is you I build fantasies on, you don't know I exist, Miss O. Newton-John. When it comes to parodies, of course, nursery rhymes are always fair game, aren't they? Plenty of people have done that. And I don't claim the credit, if that's the word, for the first two lines of this one, because I'm sure you've heard it before. Mary had a little lamb, the doctors were amazed. Next morning in the tabloids, a massive headline blazed. Ram moves in with Mary, and our sheep may safely graze. Little Bo Peep has lost her sheep. They always were quite contrary. They've gone to look for pastures new, since the ram moved in with Mary. Little Jack Horner sat in the corner, having a lovely time. He stuck in his thumb in his curds and whey, and said, oops, I'm in the wrong nursery rhyme. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jill came down with half a crown. I hear she's expecting a daughter. Christmas is coming, the geese won't fancy that. They suspect ulterior motives in getting them so fat. They fear that if they eat too much and get that rounded look, they might end up as ingredients on ready, steady cook. They don't mind getting eaten, they realise that's their lot. It's just they'd rather like to choose which TV chef they got. They don't mind almost anyone, but please, they'd rather not be shouted at and sung at by Ainsley Harriott. Now, I know one or two of you, like me, have been to the occasional poetry workshop, usually run by a published poet who none of us have ever heard of. One of their techniques is to give you the opening line of a poem, and then you sit down and make a poem out of it. The last one we went to, people there with me, they used a slightly different technique, and we had to write the first line of the poem and hand it to the person sitting next to us for them to make a poem. The line I was given was, I'm not sure if the ladies here gave it to me actually, my dog Tilly was beautiful in appearance. My effort was called Passion Killer. My dog Tilly was beautiful in appearance, she told me, tears welling up in her eyes. What do you say at a time like this when all you can think about is getting her into bed? Nice name, Tilly, I muttered helplessly. She was light tan, long shiny hair, and her doleful eyes could twist me round her little claw. There, I said, slipping my arms around her, hopefully. She died this morning, she sobbed, killing the last vestige of passion. So how many people here are dog owners? I know, I can see one over there. Back there, any more dog owners? No, we had another one there. And do you dutifully take them out at least once a day, whatever the weather, rain, snow, whatever? Yeah, I thought you did. Yeah. I often look out of my window and I see somebody walking a dog in the pouring rain, and I often wonder to myself, did the dog really want to go out? This is called walkies. I'm curled up snug before a roaring fire. Outside it's blowing half a gale. I hear the rain against the window pane. Forecast said it might well turn to hail. I'm definitely in the right place, as they say. An hour or two of rest is all I need. I'm happy to stay here until it's time for bed. So why the hell has he gone to fetch my mead? He loves his walks, I've heard him tell his friends. I'll take him twice a day, come rain or shine. I don't know whose idea it was that dogs like getting wet, but I promise you it wasn't mine. He wears his fur-lined anorak, of course. A pair of sturdy shoes upon his feet. And with gloves and a golfing umbrella, his protection from rain is complete. But I have to go out just as I am, in the wind and the rain and the snow. He wouldn't go out when the snow's inches deep if his bits dangled that low. Definitely got the level of this here. And when we get back and I'm cold and wet, he settles himself by the fire. But I have to stay in the kitchen until I'm a little bit drier. We don't want the carpet all muddy, he says. It costs quite a lot of money. It'd serve him right if I caught doggy flu. He wouldn't find vet bills so funny. I know a bit of exercise is supposed to do me good, but this weather's really beyond the pale. Oh, all right, I suppose he means well. I'll better just wag my tail.